to introduce our keynote speaker. We kind of built this conference because this person is here. We're thrilled to have her. She speaks all over the country. She even goes outside of the country and speaks. She's an amazing person. I know you probably all read a brief synopsis of what she's about to say, but there are some clinics available around here. Here, she's extremely amazing, and we're thrilled to have her here. We're honored.
Oh, you ready now?
Are you ready?
Oh, I was ready.
Are you a little bit ready? I don't know. You can take another minute or so, but help me welcome Charity.
I know I'm going to cry. I'm going through a rough spell right now. So, how y'all doing? Good. I hear y'all think it's hot up here. Yeah, I got up here and I was like, it's so hot. It's not hot up here. It's great up here. So, I'm Charity Lee, and I am the founder and executive director of the Yellow Foundation. And I want to start off by telling, saying thank you to Jolene and Joy for hosting the Yellow Foundation and going out of their way to whip up this conference after they discovered that I had gone crazy, literally, in mid-April, and decided, instead of going to a mental institution at my therapist's suggestion, to take off on a one-year, one-woman human rights tour. Got my car, got my trailer, got my dog, got my family. I met the ladies last year in New Mexico at a conference called the Prisoners Family Conference. And I felt really, really bad every time I talked to them, because every time I talked to them, they ended up crying. Oh my God. But I also felt a connection to each of them for different reasons. In Jolene, I recognized a woman that had the same fierce, dogged determination to her cause that I have. And in Joy, I met the first woman ever since I lost my daughter who understands what it's like to love a psychopath. And to have your entire life destroyed by one. And to be ceaselessly tormented by one because you have no choice but to be. You love them. They're your family. They're your children's father. They're your child. You have no choice. I apologize in advance if I make you cry while I stand here to tell you what my life has been like, because I am the child and the mother of murderers and criminals, both free and caged, alive and dead. I can't stop your tears from coming any more than I can stop my own, because of what I have to live with, and any more than these kids can stop theirs over the course of their troubled lives because of what they have to live with, again, through no choice of our own. All I can do is tell you how I have learned to turn those tears into love. On March 11th, 1980, when I was 6 years old, my father, James Robert Bennett Jr., was found dead early one morning in the entrance of our home. The police suspect that he was trying to flee out the front door. He had been shot 4 times at close range, in the head, in the back, and in the heart. Essentially executed with a .38 caliber pistol. His accused killer was arrested, incarcerated briefly, charged, tried, and eventually acquitted of murder 1. Had she not been found innocent by a supposed jury of her peers, the sentence would have been life without parole. And I knew the woman, my father's supposed killer, and at that age, I loved her more than I loved life itself. She's my mother. On February 4th, 2007, my 4-year-old daughter, Ella Lee, was sexually assaulted, then beat, then choked, and then stabbed 17 times. Late one night, in my home, in the bed that she had been born in, and in the bed that she slept in every night, mine. Stab wounds covered Ella's entire body. Her legs, her back, her chest, her arms, her genitals. There was not an area of Ella that was not destroyed by a stab wound. She was conscious for all 17 of the wounds. The majority were not fatal. She was tortured, and then she was stabbed in the heart. About 30 minutes after Ella died, and after calling a friend to discuss school and life, and deciding not to kill me too, her killer called 911 to turn himself in before I got home. I know the boy, the one who confessed to murdering my daughter, and from the moment I knew he existed, I loved him more than life itself. His name is Paris. He is my son. And the depth of my love for him knows no bounds and has withstood all the suffering that loving him has caused me. If Paris had committed his crime 2 years earlier, in 2005, and had he not been a juvenile, which in Texas is anybody under the age of 13, he, too, could have faced the death penalty. Instead, he is now serving a 40-year jail sentence, the equivalent of a lifetime to a 13-year-old boy. When I leave Iowa next week, I go to Texas to testify at the hearing that will send my son to the Texas Department of Criminal Justice, one of the most violent and deadly prisons in America. Especially for a 19-year-old boy who feels absolutely no guilt or remorse over the fact that he sexually abused and murdered his sister. There is a very real possibility that before I draw my last breath, my son could be murdered in prison by another inmate or a guard, meaning that both of my children could possibly have homicide on their death certificates. While the details are different for all families of the incarcerated, these are the kind of grim, emotionally paralyzing thoughts that pervade our daily existence. No matter the age or maturity level we are at when we are first forced to view the world through these wounded eyes. But I didn't come here to dwell on or expand upon violence. I didn't come here to rattle off statistics or to regale you or try to entertain you, as some people are, with stories of misery, pain, and loss. I came here to testify that a life composed of murder, loss, unspeakable grief, and dealing with the damn criminal justice system has taught me everything I need to know about the power of unassailable love. I stand here to speak to you as the daughter of a murdered father, the daughter of an alleged murderess, the mother of a murderer, and the mother of a murdered child. I stand here, a human and spiritual being whose entire existence has been and always will be shaped and defined by violence, murder, loss, and prison rules. I stand here to tell you how after I have been forced to look violence in the face over and over again, that I continue to believe in and live with love is my God. I stand before you to tell you what I have learned and continue to learn from my father, my son, my daughter, and all the families I work with about the nature and expression of unconditional love. I am here to tell you that you can, whether you believe it or not, you can learn to cope with and transform senseless violence into something beautiful and meaningful. I have survived a lifetime of murder, and I have another lifetime of murder to endure. Why? Because I have chosen to live and to work on both sides of the crime scene tape. Like I said, I have moments in my life where I'm probably actually insane. And I must have made that decision during one of those times. You know. Or maybe not. Maybe I'm not crazy. Maybe because of murder, I am able to do the first sane thing of my life other than loving my children. And that is opening my heart to the people who harmed me so I can use my pain to make the world a beautiful place. After you experience firsthand how destructive violent acts are and the criminal justice system that is supposedly designed to bring us justice is, what other choice is there short of going certifiably insane rather than just a little weird, but to open your heart and to fight for every single person you can in pain because of violence? Does it really matter which side of the bar you have to take their hand from? Does it? Doesn't it matter more that you took somebody's hand when they were in pain? Because of the life I have endured, I personally have reached the point where there is no turning back from pain. And I have no future expectation of happiness out of life. I'm 38 years old, but I have endured lifetimes of hell. My father is dead, murdered. My mother probably had him killed. My daughter, dead, murdered. My son, he's a psychopath. Next time your 13-year-old bitches at you, I'll trade. Many of my friends live on death row. Many more of my friends have children they watch grow up through bulletproof glass. They watch while their child struggles to remain alive, sane, and human in spite of 23-hour-a-day isolation and 365-day-a-year degradation. If my friends are lucky, they get to watch their children die behind the same bulletproof glass. No contact allowed before their children are put to sleep like dogs. Because we all know you can't show mercy to any monsters like these, the mothers of the executed. Too many of my friends' children have been executed in death rows across America. Too many of my friends have incarcerated children. Too many of my friends live in daily fear for their child's lives. Too many of my friends understand this pain too well. And those are just the friends I have from the work I do with the incarcerated. Because I also work with victims, in spite of the fact that everyone keeps telling me that victims and criminals are on different sides. My friends are also the mothers, sisters, grandmothers, brothers, and families of those who have been murdered, those who grieve their loved one's loss. And many times, they are related to, and the victim of, the same murderers, rapists, pedophiles, child abusers that I mentioned in my first friends list. Wake up. There are no sides. I dare you to look me in the eye, to look Joy's kids in the eyes. Tell them there's sides. That there's true good and true bad. That there's love or hate. There are no sides. All there is those of us who have been exposed to violence and forever changed by it, and exposed to the criminal justice system, and those of us who have not. Yet. This isn't a prison reform meeting, but I could go on for hours about the rate that prisons are growing in America, in spite of the fact that violent crime is on the decline. In spite of everything, I still love. And so can you. A lifetime spent suffering and trying to understand the ramifications of all this murder so I can somehow figure out a way to counter-effect the effects of all this murder has taught me a lot. The first thing that it's taught me is that love can conquer all. It's not a utopian type dream. You have to work at it. But it can. Love can conquer all. I see it at work all the time in my life and with the people that I counsel. And I'm sure you've heard it before, but I'm going to say it again. Because truth with a capital T needs to be shouted from the rooftops. Love begets love. Hate begets hate. It's a very simple A plus B equals C equation. You want to live in a world free of hatred and violence? Don't most of us want to live in a world free of hate and free of violence? Yes? Okay, so stop being hateful. It starts with you. Create the world you want. Set aside your ego, your pride, your anger, your insults, your righteous indignations, and your judgments. Love the jailed and the jailers. Not so easy for some of us to do. Love the condemned and the innocent. Love the living and the dead. Flex your empathy muscles. Each and every single one of you in this room is a force of nature. You are. You are full of power. Accept it. Use it. Use it for good. Use it on behalf of justice. Use it to create love. And most especially, use it to give love. second thing that murder has taught me, and I kind of knew this before, but it like made me a lot bolder. I have absolutely nothing to hide. More importantly, I have absolutely nothing to be ashamed of. Not a thing. Violence is so prevalent and so accepted in our culture that it can happen to any one of you. In a room this size, one of you will die because of a violent act before it's over with. One of you will. Everyone is an eye blink away from trauma, no matter what we do. After my father was murdered, then again after Paris killed Ella, my friends, my own family, my neighbors, and my community put as much distance as they could between themselves and me. As a child, and I was 6 when my father was murdered. 6. As a child, I was shunned and taunted by my classmates. Children who listened to their parents gossip about the most devastating moment of my life up until that point at the dinner table. Children who believed my mother was a murderess before I did. Children who every time they got mad at me for some small slight would throw my father's murder in my face as if it were somehow my fault that I was the one who committed the crime and pulled the trigger, not the one who was suffering because of it. As an adult, I am verbally attacked on a regular basis by people that I have never met and never seen in my life. They just assume that I have to be evil because they think my son is. Or, and this is the one that breaks my heart, they think I'm a horrible mother because of what Paris chose to do. As if I somehow trained him up to brutally murder his little sister. Exactly 1 week before Ella's murder, I was at the breakfast table with my kids. And I opened the local paper and I read a tragic, tragic story about a 4-year-old little girl named Janie De La Paz. She had been killed the night before in a drive-by shooting. The very first thought that entered my mind, of course, was, oh my God, how horrible. The second thought, thank God that will never happen to us. I never once thought to reach out to her family. I never once thought to offer any support. And I never thought about doing anything other than counting my lucky stars with 2 kids eating breakfast at that table. My overriding thought was how lucky I am. My children are happy and whole. We will never suffer that kind of tragedy. Why did I think it was safe to think that? Because I thought we were different. How did I think we were different? Easy. We were white, we were rich, and we were educated. That was not going to happen to us. It only happened to De La Paz's. Like I said, exactly 1 week later, Ella had been beaten, choked, and stabbed by her mother. Eventually, Ella's picture made its way to the same place as Janie's in the local paper. And I guarantee you, there was at least one mother who read our story that day and thought the exact same thing I did a week before. I guarantee you there are thousands more every day who read my words on the Ella Foundation's website and think the same thing. And they get a lot more detailed account out there. But they still believe nothing remotely similar could ever happen to them. And I guarantee you, more than one of you will walk out of here today thinking the same thing. Because I used to be guilty of the same offense, I do understand why we distance ourselves from tragedy and shun those who have experienced it. Fear. That's it. Plain and simple. Fear. Nobody wants to believe that what happened to my family can happen to theirs. Nobody wants to believe that their mother or their son can commit murder. Nobody wants to believe that their Ella or their Jenny can be murdered. I am living proof you should all believe it's possible. Do not distance yourself from those in need. Do not shun those who have been traumatized. Do not shun those who traumatize. It only causes more pain. And ignoring this problem will not make it stop at your doorstep. The third thing, life, if you have to live it, is to be lived boldly. Very, very boldly. Ralph Waldo Emerson said it well. Do not be too timid and squeamish about your actions. All life is an experiment. I truly believe in the bottom of my heart and soul that after surviving daily the worst nightmare that a mother can have and that a child can have, that I have been called to help heal people's hearts and souls. That's what I do. I don't do legal stuff. I try to heal. I truly believe that the life that I have lived has only served to increase the amount of love and compassion I feel for every single person I meet. Maybe it's some weird genetic quirk of mine, but I can't help it. The more pain I'm in, the more I love other people. It's a weird thing. Every single person is meaningful to life. Every single person. And whether they can believe that or not, they need to know that everyone is meaningful to life. When times get really rough, so of course I have this memorized by now, I have a mantra that I chant to focus my energies on what I know is important. It's very simple. Love, service, sacrifice. Love, service, sacrifice. These three spiritual truths paint my worldview and they guide my exchanges with everyone else. They transcend all boundaries, age, class, status, nationality, religion, sex, sexual orientation. I don't care. Love, service, sacrifice. At some point in your life, if you have not had it yet, each and every one of you will need a mustard seed of faith planted by a positive experience with somebody else to continue to live your life the best that you can. So, Because you're going to need somebody else at some point in your life to stay sane, to stay alive. I want you to stop worrying what everybody's going to think of you. Stop worrying about the label on your shirt. Be happy you have one. Stop worrying about the car you drive. Who cares? Stop worrying about the size of the house you live in, unless you're a Mormon polygamist. Who cares? You know, these are not the things that are important. All this energy that we focus on worry and fear and anger, if we could find a way inside ourselves to set it aside and focus it on love and compassion instead, my God, can you imagine what an amazing place we live in? It's overwhelming. And not be over. And the fourth thing that all of this has taught me so far is that I have survived this to accomplish a couple of things. I survived this so I could share my story and my love and my time with every single person who needs it or wants to hear it. I survived to rattle the bars of the criminal justice system a bit by advocating for justice and humane treatment of those who do us harm rather than punishment. And finally, I survived because I know I'm going to see my daughter again. And I want to get to her. And this is the way to do it. On April 12th, 2011, what would have been Ella's 9th birthday, I decided to create the Ella Foundation. We're a 501c3, and our mission is to prevent violence and to advocate for human rights through education, criminal justice reform, and victim advocacy. I created the Ella Foundation for one reason, self-evident. Ella can do more good and spread more love than I can by myself. My Ella Foundation, much like my Ella did, has her hands in everything. We are currently at work on the following projects. Trying to get my book published. It's called How Now Butterfly. We are working on the coordination of local, national, and international agencies and nonprofits to build support for humane treatment of both victims and offenders in an effort to reduce crime and victimization. I do a lot of speaking, local, national, international speaking engagements, in which I incorporate my personal experience and professional knowledge of family violence, juvenile crime, sexual sadism, and psychopathy to educate the public in violence prevention and human rights. We have convinced the San Antonio Police Department to create a victim advocacy program for homicide victims' families. So from now on, when there's a homicide in San Antonio, the family of the victim will be assigned a detective and a victim advocate to help them through the extremely traumatic first 24 hours after finding out that your loved one has been murdered. And because I'm crazy, I am road tripping to Mississippi after my son is delivered into the hands of a system as cruel as he is. To do two things. One, to establish a chapter of the campaign to end the death penalty in Mississippi, a national grassroots organization dedicated to the abolition of capital punishment. And 2, to contact, organize, and train as many families as affected by Mississippi's courts, jails, prisons, death rows, and the rampant corruption inherent in each. And how to become advocates, not only for their loved ones, but for all of the victims and offenders in the state of Mississippi that they can reach. There's hardly anybody doing anything in Mississippi. And it's horrible. It's horrible there. The stories I can tell you about Mississippi. My ultimate goal is for one day, the foundation will be able to open physical centers, which I have to call Ella's Place. So all little kids after school say, "Hey Mom, I'm going to Ella's Place," since I don't get to hear that anymore. And I want to open them in actively crime-ridden communities. And these centers will offer support and education to victims of violent crime, no matter which side of the crime scene they come from. And we're going to try to help them heal. Ella's Place will be staffed by social workers, lawyers, teachers, psychologists, and advocates who understand and can deliver the 4 things I think everyone affected by violence needs to stop, cope with, and overcome violence in their life. I'll tell you a little secret. It is really very, very simple what we need to overcome trauma. What we need is we all need our own little Ella to bring us back to what is right in the world. We need empathy. We need somebody to be able to understand how we feel when we're in pain. The second thing that we need is love. You can understand how somebody feels and turn around and walk away from them. We need love to go with that empathy. And love is work. Love is not just a feeling. Love is work. When Ella was murdered, I lost 30 pounds in 2 weeks. And everybody kept saying, "I'm thinking about you, Charity. I'm praying for you, Charity." Nobody fed me. I could not attend to that. We need love. We need lessons. We need an education, because when you are affected by trauma, you have entered a world just like that you know nothing about. It makes no sense. And the only way to get your power back is to educate yourself about the world that you are living in now. The only way to help somebody else is to educate them so they can learn. Because it's only with compassion, empathy, and love, and lessons, and education that we can get that last thing we need to heal, and that is the ability to take action. All of this means nothing if I don't do something with it. I have to act. I cannot be a passive victim anymore. Action. See, everybody just needs a little Ella, little empathy, little love, little lessons, little action. Here we go. I wish it was that easy. Paris murdered Ella barely 3 months after his 13th birthday. Before that birthday, I had sat down and composed a list. I'm a writer, I like to write. I composed a list for my son that summed up the 13 things that loving him had taught me so far. 3 years later, he turned 16 in the custody of the Texas Department of Juvenile Justice. Obviously, I couldn't bake the cake. I couldn't go him a party. I couldn't teach him to drive, take him to get his driver's license, warn him about girls, or marvel over what an amazing young man he was growing to be. So instead, I sat down, I added 3 more to his list, and I mailed it to him because I refuse, in spite of the fact that I believe my son is a psychopath, to give up the hope that one day my love may save him somehow. In the 5 years since he killed Ella, I have learned that the love that I have for my children is the love I should have for everyone. The way that my mind works, it's really easy for me to look out in this room and see all of y'all as little kids. So it's easy to love everybody. Everybody was a little kid once, right? I have learned what I tried to teach my son. I have learned to apply that to everyone, in spite of what they have done, or in spite of what they may have had done to them. And I really, really, really hope that you never have to live the life that I live. I hope that the words that I'm going to share with you, and that I shared with my son before and after he destroyed everything I guided my ship by, I hope they are enough to embolden you to act more like a 4-year-old, to love all you meet, to see potential miracles in everything and everyone, and to do all you can to make those miracles a reality. To my beloved son, on his 13th birthday, here are 13 things that loving you has taught me so far. 1, live in the here and now. The past cannot be changed, and the future is yours for the creating. 2, live without limits, but set boundaries. 3, love boldly, yet carefully. 4, be mindful of others' dreams and aspirations. Offer support and encouragement often. 5, know your limits, trust your instincts, never be afraid to draw lines in the sand. 6, follow your yellow brick road. It always knows where you need to be. 7, stop and listen to the silence occasionally to remind yourself that life is not always as it seems. 8, trust until given a reason not to. Help until you are being taken advantage of. Hold no regrets. Life is too short, and you are the sum of all of your experiences, both good and bad. Never be afraid to admit your mistakes or to apologize for them. You will be a better man or woman than most because of it. Try not to let the actions of a few grade your opinion of all. Good manners will take you farther than any amount of money or talent. And when all else fails, remind yourself this is your life. You must live it the way you feel is best. To my beloved son on his 16th birthday, it has been hell to get here. I wish I could change our lives, but what is. You still teach me about love. So here are 3 more for your list. Always, always let love be your guide and the light at the end of your tunnel. As long as you are breathing, you can survive anything. Even if you quit breathing, you survive everything anyway. And no matter what, no matter who you are, no matter what you have done, no matter what you may do, I always have and I always will love you to the stars and back.